So tonight I really wanted to talk about belief. And this was a huge lesson for me, I think, especially last year and a lot of growth that I saw in myself. So it'll sound like I'm talking about myself a lot, but just because I want you to be able to learn from that maybe and maybe not let it take so long as I took. So I have a couple of notes, so bear with me because this will be more choppy of just me telling a story and thinking through kind of what I've gone through. But having belief or lack of belief, and this is both, I will talk about this, but this is about what we do and also the belief in ourselves and in making things happen. So preface it with that. But having that belief or not can make or break you in this business. And that, like, super scary and intense if you think about it that way. But it is what it takes if we want to go farther, and we want to grow and do better and whatever. So what happened last year was I was still, some of you don't know, I was still kind of just dabbling is the word I used in coaching. Like I probably qualified more as a hobby coach, but I think my goals were beyond being a hobby coach, but I wasn't actually believing in myself and maybe necessarily putting in the amount of work that I needed to hit the higher goals as like a business builder, if that makes sense. And so at the beginning of 2020, so really the end of 2019, doesn't matter, but to give you a timeline, I was kind of at a crossroads of like, okay, what do I want? I'm really unhappy dabbling in this, and I'm frustrated all the time because I'm not hitting the goals that I want. And for instance, really just like Success Club and like simple goals like that. Not that it's simple, but nothing super crazy. I just wasn't even consistently hitting what I wanted to be hitting. And so I had to say, like, I'm not happy doing this. So if you are in it to be a hobby coach, that's fine. That's your goal. But for me, it was not filling my cup to be there. It was making me very frustrated. So I had to decide, am I going to really go all in and shift my thinking and start trying to figure out how to believe in myself, or am I going to quit? So that's kind of where it started. And then so January 2020, began and rolled around, and it felt like already I was right in that same boat of just always frustrated with myself, never feeling like I was, gonna hit Success Club and gonna hit these goals. And it just felt like right back where I started. And so it's just such a feeling of defeat and frustration. And so in February, I did a team cup. I actually wasn't thinking about how that was team cup, but I did a team cup team. And I was like, I can't let my team down. I have to get in Success Club. And of course, for myself, I wanted to get in Success Club. I was tired of like sometimes missing it or sometimes just coming through by the skin of your teeth, like that feeling it's stressful. And truthfully, side note, some months are just like that. There's no magic trick, I don't think. But what I learned in February was so exciting because I learned, I think, how to have that belief. So I was like, all month, and it was a really slow month. A lot of times February can be like that, but we'll see. Like, who knows what this year will be like. But I just kept believing, and I was like, I have to change how I'm thinking of myself and how I'm doing this business. And I could watch other coaches like higher than me or not even that much higher, but just be like, oh yeah, I'm going to hit Success Club, and like no sweat, no stress, even on like that last week of the month, So I feel like it was all a test to test me and to like teach me how to have that belief and to show me what it could do. And so I can't even remember all the details, but I only signed up, I was sitting at Success Club 4 all month, I'm like, are you kidding me? I had all these people lined up that were going to sign up this month, and that totally happens sometimes, and then none of them talk to you again. But it was like, I think it was the last day of the month, or was that the next month? I don't remember. I think I might be telling the story wrong, but it was one of these months. I think it happened 2 different months. Doesn't matter. But it was the last day of the month and I wasn't in Success Club. And I woke up and it was like I came out of my brain and I knew I had a choice. Am I going to believe that I can make this happen today? Or am I just going to call it quits because it's the last day and it's not possible to sign anybody yet? And that's what I normally would do. And I'll talk about that in a second. But I woke up and I was like, I opened my eyes. This sounds so corny, but I was like, I'm going to get in Success Club today. And I literally said it in my head. I didn't say it out loud. But I just like came down the stairs and I just had all this energy. And I did. And I don't know, like, I don't want to say it works like that every time. But I think the lesson for me was just this learning to build the belief in myself. And really all it was like I invited, honestly, the lady that I invited who said yes, I would have invited her 20 times, I don't know, over and over. She watches my story every day. You know, it was just one of those things. But I thought, had I have not gotten up, had that energy and checked my stories, had I have had a bad attitude and been like, screw it, you know, and even not asked her again. Oh no, what's happening? Because I had asked her before, I wouldn't have gotten her signed up, you know, and I wouldn't have gotten in Success Club. So that's just kind of an example. And you can ask tons of coaches if you posted in Dare to Dream or something. I guarantee you other people have stories like that. And it's kind of just that decision and a little bit of luck. Like, let's be honest. But again, there is that backup of like, what if I didn't do that? Then I wouldn't have made it, you know? And so I think that just showed me of all the mistakes I had made like the year or two before, of even if it being like almost a week ahead of the end of the month. And I would be like, oh, well, it's not possible. You know, I have no leads, so I don't know who's going to sign up. You don't know. And so you can't be the judge of that. But all you can do is keep showing up, keep believing, and pouring out that energy. The belief is going to give you the energy to just like own it and not be salesy and all of that. So yeah, I realized how much I had been mentally giving up. And I might have still been showing up and, you know, doing a power hour like the couple years before. But mentally, I was like, there's nobody else for me this month. Oh, well, you know, and I would be really frustrated. Like I was trying really hard to get in Success Club. But it was all that mental defeat. And as much as it sounds weird or whatever, it really does come through on your messages and when you talk in your stories and that kind of stuff. And somehow it can send off this icky vibe and no one's ready. So, okay, let's see. I want to just kind of, I'm kind of hopping all around tonight, but the other side of that was me always comparing myself to other coaches. And I know I've talked about this in the past, but it's still a struggle. And even the belief thing is still a struggle. Like I haven't hit the goals that I want this month. And I'm like, okay, like I've got like 3 days left. But instead of having that attitude, just be like, I'm going to hit it. And even if you don't in the end, you will know that you gave it everything that you had. You will know that you believed in yourself. And that belief is going to carry you to keep trying again the next month, you know? Now I got off track. Okay, comparison. So comparing yourself to other coaches is so bad and detrimental to you, to your mindset, to your business. And again, this like learn from me, and some people it's probably better or worse for than others. Maybe some people don't struggle with that. I have struggled with comparing myself to people, to girls my entire life. So it it is a big thing that I have to work on. And I feel like I'm getting better, but then there's certain people, it's like I don't compare myself to everyone, but certain ones I get kind of competitive, I think. But again, a couple years ago, I learned the same thing, that, you know, all it was doing was hurting and affecting me. And the girls I was comparing to, like, they didn't even know. And really, that's their journey. Like, that is their thing. Maybe they're farther along than you. You know, you don't know what their goals are. You don't know, maybe you're not actually putting in the same amount of work as they are. So don't, you know, badmouth them or anything. I'm going to look at the chat. I don't know how coaches like talk and read the chat at the same time. Oh yeah, thank you for sharing that, Emily. Do you mind if I read it? Okay, I mean, because if people don't see the video, she said it's the main reason I don't know if I want to be an active coach. I don't want to be annoying like my cousin who's a Beachbody coach, who's not on our team, everyone. Don't worry. Yeah, and Emily has shared that before, but that's a real limiting belief that, like, you got to work through, girlfriend. Yeah, but comparing can just be so dangerous and mess with you. And like I said, like, it was defeating me and making me upset, and that person didn't even know, you know? And so all it's doing, so just stay in your own lane. And what I had to learn was, you know, depending on who it is or where they are or how it is, like, if it's seeing, like, I'm trying to think of examples. I'm not trying to call anybody out, but like posting, like Team Bloom, we have, you know, you can put if you did a power hour or if you signed somebody up or if you hit Success Club, whatever. For a while, those would make me super mad and jealous. And honestly, still, I saw, like, sometimes if I see people and I'm like, oh, I'm not there yet, and I start getting all worked up, and I have to be like, Heidi, like, first of all, it's coming for you too. You put in the work. You know that you did the things that you need to do. It's coming. But second of all, like, that's their journey. Be happy for them. Like, what's the phrase with the flower? I don't know. I should have thought about that. There's, like, you know, a flower can be beautiful standing on its own, but you can also be this other beautiful flower. The quote is way better than that, but we're each our own individual thing. So, but what I learned from that, or if it's a message thread, or if it's a certain person that's just like rubbing you wrong for a while, just get out. Find a different group of people, or just don't look at those threads, and don't post on them either if they're going to make you mad. What was it? Another example? I don't know, but I think that makes sense. I think you guys get that. But I did that. And so last year, like, I left different message threads, or like if something was just causing me anxiety or drain or making me mad, sometimes I get like so irritated. And those people didn't know, and they don't need to know, because that was just like the season I was in. And then when I felt better, you know, and I like kind of got my confidence back, then I was back in it, and I was supportive, and I was totally fine if they were hitting their goals and I was behind them or something. So sometimes we're just in this weird headspace, and just don't get caught in that trap of comparison, again, because you don't know where someone's at on their journey. And especially because coaching is there's so much personal growth and things that we're all walking through and learning on the way. Like, it's not just like being a cashier at a store and, you know, you just do this and that's the steps that you do and then you do it. I don't know if that made sense, but we're all in different, you know, journeys and things that we're learning. So it can take, like, it took me how many years to get to diamond, but I look back on that and I wouldn't ask for it to be any different, because for one, I was wanting it for the wrong reasons, and I just wasn't ready yet to do other things that in that process, you know, and I would have had to go through all of that time and growth to get to where I am anyway. Okay. That didn't even have to do with belief, but comparison just needs to be talked about. So a way to build your belief in yourself, because a lot of times, like, how do we even get that if we don't have it in the first place, is speaking out loud or writing down affirmations. And I used to roll my eyes at this, and it's still not something, I'll be honest, that I consistently do every day. But when I do, I feel stronger and more encouraged and start believing that, because you believe what you hear and what you're telling yourself. And so the more that you're telling yourself that you're not going to hit Success Club, or you're not going to go far, you're not a leader, or blah, 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 then the more that's going to become true, because that's all you're telling yourself. And it's just what comes out. But if you are writing down or telling yourself, I believe in myself, I can be successful, I am a leader, I can learn how to be a leader, I can learn how to do my power hour or be more efficient or more effective to hit Success Club, all of those things, just start shifting your mind by speaking it. And it sounds so cheesy sometimes, and it feels silly. And there are times where I've done affirmations and they will make me mad because I'm like, well, I'm not there yet, I feel like other people wouldn't be that honest. Maybe it doesn't make people mad, but last year I was like, this side note again, I was writing for a while every day. I was like, I forget what date I had to become diamond. So I was like, say it was like March. It's March 1st and I'm a diamond. And I had like this whole thing that I was writing out. And I actually had to stop writing it because it was making me mad. And then when it passed March 1st and I wasn't diamond still, I'm like, I got to think of a different affirmation. So do what works for you. It doesn't have to be like a whole thing like someone else might say, which is what I was doing. So again, shift that mindset, say it's happening, say it to yourself right now. But the other part of that is you do have to be doing the work to back it up. Like, it's not just a magic trick that we can just believe it and it happens. And I think you guys obviously know that. But so also you have to be honest with yourself and be real. Like, maybe you aren't doing, maybe you aren't talking to enough people or sending enough invites. And that is one thing that I had to get honest with myself about too. But the other part of that is then there is less stress, because the more that you're working and sending and you create this consistent flow, it is a lot easier to get into Success Club. And if you're new, that just takes more time, to grow and develop that too. But yeah, if you're backing it up with the work and it's coming down to the wire like this week, just believe it, stay positive, keep sharing in a genuine way. And then, yeah, I get so distracted. Okay. Also, I guess it's the same thing, but I said stress messes with your vibe. So if you, Brianna, let me tell you, we probably all of us have had a stressful month. And this week, even today, I'm like, okay, sometimes if you just are going to talk on your stories, like, you don't have to be fake, but maybe just take a deep breath and smile. And then remember, this was another thing that I had to learn last year, because I had a lot of like health issues going on and was dealing with tons of fatigue and pain and stuff. And at first I was just sharing about that all the time because I wanted to be real and I didn't want people to think I was fake. I wanted to be honest about like all the struggles and stuff. But then there comes a point where it's like, okay, but what do I stand for in my business, and what do I believe, and my core beliefs were helping other people to learn to believe in themselves and also to have energy. And the energy, what I learned from last year was that it doesn't always have to be physical energy. Like, I don't have to be 100% physically all the time, but I learned that even though I'm not feeling good all the time, I still believe in that energy and I still have it like mentally and in my heart. I don't know if this is making sense, but I can feel it. So that's what I had to learn was like, okay, I think it's okay to talk about these struggles sometimes for me, because otherwise I would have been talking about it every single day. And and I want the vibe of my posts and my stories to be like helpful to people, and what it was attracting. So it just depends on, you know, your followers and who needs to hear what certain days, whatever. But it seems to not be helping people. It was actually just attracting a lot of like pity. And I was like, okay, well, that's not why I was sharing it. So I'll just stop talking about it a little bit, you know? Anyway, but I had to dig deep into that kind of that mental energy. And like I said, like I just kind of take a deep breath and smile before I go on my stories. So I'm a little bit more upbeat, and it's not fake because I believe in that. And I have that at the core of my values, if that makes sense. So, okay. And then I have like a couple things left to talk about. I think I have time. Yeah. If you are at the end of the month and you're trying to get into Success Club, get creative with who to invite, who you need to follow up with, because I know that's another thing I've learned is that sometimes you just have to think through. There are days where it feels like there's nobody left. Like I've talked to everybody, you know, and then the longer I've coached, I'm like, oh wait, I forgot about this person like 5 months ago, or, you know, it's not always just like the people on your stories, or go back to people that you've asked in the past, get creative to think of new people to ask. And if you need more examples of that, we can give it. But that's just kind of a little keyword that I'll remind myself, like, especially this week, I have actually had to do that too in different ways. Be like, oh yeah, I can be creative. I don't have to do the same thing every single day. So the final thing that I want to talk about with the word belief is that of belief in what we do and in the products that we're using in our workouts, and in how this has changed our lives and how it is changing, and then how it can change others. And the deeper that you believe in that stuff, the more confident you will become with inviting in truly helping people long term. And again, I think this is something that I had to just go through and learn, and it probably will be like that for you too. But the more that you go all in with your own journey, the more that the belief will build faster. So it sounds so simple, and it really is, because we coach, we need to take care of ourselves first. We are to be a product of the product, and that will build your belief. And so, like I said, the deeper your belief is, the more confident you're going to be when you're talking about it, when you're talking on your stories, or when you're inviting, because you know without a doubt what this can and will do for them. And then if they still say no, of course, that's okay. It's actually less sweat off your back, because sometimes I actually feel bad for them. Like, I just want them to understand, how good it is. And you're not just like worrying that it's you, or you did something wrong. So yeah, I think I'm going to just kind of end it there. And believe in yourself and really put in the time that it would take to feel that. And like, I'll end with this too, is that I know I say I'll end and then I keep going, but it doesn't necessarily always go away completely. I guarantee you, even Jessica Bowser Nelson still has days of insecurity, and still has to fight those battles in your head. And again, some of us, like, it's easier for some than others, and we all have different struggles that they do come back. But I think the longer you go into your journey, and the harder that you push and work on those weaknesses and those struggles, they do become less and less, and you build those tools so that you know how to deal with it, to get past it quicker. So I'll still have moments where I compare myself, but instead of blowing a whole week on it and feeling sorry for myself, maybe I get past it in like 30 minutes and be on with my day, So, okay. I think that's all. Is there anything I missed in the chat? You compare myself. Oh, don't do that, Brianna. So I think, because I do that too. I've actually started doing that with a couple of higher coaches. I'll say this for the video. It's still recording. Brianna said she compares herself to me. Now, she just signed up in November. Was it November, October? November. Okay, she's a brand new coach, and I've been coaching for 3 years. But she said, but I think it's because I want to be like her, not because I'm jealous. And I think that's okay, as long as it's not making you like mad or feel like you can never get there, or jealous, like she said. Yeah, I'm reading through everyone else's too. Then I think that's okay. And like I was going to say, I've done that recently with a few coaches that I want to get, like Jessica, for instance. She did some like business builder, like helping us and stuff. And I just see it as like, I want to get there and I believe that I can get there. And so I'm like, maybe not comparing myself in that way, but yeah, so I'm not idolizing her. Please don't idolize me. but yeah, see that as a goal that you're trying to get to, and that you believe that you can get to, which is probably what Brianna meant. So, okay, I'm getting myself all red and hot now. That just like flustered me up. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording.